Right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones will have to liquidate his personal assets. That's the order handed down by a Texas bankruptcy court judge earlier today. The money is to help pay a $1.5 billion defamation debt owed to the families of children killed in the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. Jones will have to liquidate his personal assets in a federal proceeding, but the court dismissed the case about his company called Free Speech Systems. So its future remains unknown. Joining me now to talk more about this is attorney Tre Lovell. Thanks so much for being with me. Tre, the judge in this case rejected bankruptcy for Alex Jones's InfoWars and instead ordered this liquidation of his personal assets. What's the difference between the two?
Well, it's a couple of things. The liquidation of his personal assets means, as part of the Chapter 7 bankruptcy, he's going to have to sell out those assets and immediately give the revenue to the creditors, to the families. With respect to his company, the judge said, listen, that's not appropriate for the bankruptcy court. We're going to let that continue, and then you can go after that company based on state enforcement laws. So it's kind of split the baby in the sense, allowing the liquidation to go forward personally, but to dismiss the bankruptcy against the company and allow them to go after the state rights.
Which one of those options allows the families to get paid as quickly as possible?
I think this was a good choice because for a couple of reasons. When you liquidate, it's more of an immediate recognition to the families of the money that is owed to them, because you're going to go to the immediate sale of the assets, and the bank is not going to linger on, and they're going to get paid. With respect to the company, there's a big issue. Is it more asset wealthy, or is it more revenue-based wealthy? And if it's more revenue-based, which means it has a propensity to make more money over time than its current assets, then it makes sense not to liquidate that. So in terms of that, the families now have an opportunity to go after the company through the states as it's making money and avail themselves of those state rights, which could be, going after bank accounts, going after corporate property, things like that. So I think it's a good result, and it probably maximizes the family's ability to recover.
And that's exactly what this is all about. What does this actually mean, though, that Alex Jones will have to make these payments for the rest of his life? Is there any way for him to get out of paying? Walk us through these possible scenarios moving forward.
Sure. So let's take the personal bankruptcy. So now that he's going to go into liquidation, he's going to have to liquidate his current assets. And then once he does that, the bankruptcy is going to end, and then he's going to be able to continue his life. Now, the families still have a right to collect on whatever amounts are still owed to them, but he's no longer going to be under the purview of the bankruptcy court. He's no longer going to be under the supervision of a judge. Now he can go and live his life, and then subject to whatever the state's rights are, which are going to be much different. With respect to the company, now that's going to continue, and the families are also going to try to collect off that. And that could be, as I said, going after the company's bank accounts, or going after any property. But it's going to be more of an ongoing thing because the company is going to exist and it's going to continue to generate money. The families are going to try to get a piece of that money. Sometimes you can try to involuntarily dissolve the company or things like that. But the strategy is going to be, how do we maximize getting paid? And if we were to immediately sell the company, go into liquidation with that, the assets are small, and then we have no more recourse because it's no longer in existence and revenue producing. So the fact that he's going to continue to operate the company, they're going to have the ability to collect against that, I think it gives them some more promise down the road of getting more recovery.
We know that this interim trustee will handle some of the logistics of all of this, but explain to us, what does that mean? For example, does this trustee then have access to Jones's bank accounts?
Sure. So with respect to his personal bankruptcy, his personal assets, you've got an independent trustee. He's going to have access to everything. He's going to make a determination in terms of what assets are exempt, because not everything can be used to be sold and be collected. There are certain things that every person in bankruptcy, has a right to hold on to. Your primary residence, sometimes, other belongings and things like that. So the trustee is going to make that decision, but everything else that's not exempt, they're going to go on a sell. They're going to just try to sell it as quick as they can to get as much money early as they can, and then they're going to distribute it to the families based on the priorities set forth in the bankruptcy. So that's what kind of the trustee, that's what kind of his or her job is, to oversee the distribution and the execution of the bankruptcy, get all of those assets sold, make a determination what can be sold and necessarily what can't. And then once that's all distributed, to then close the bankruptcy.
Wait a minute. So you said the Alex Jones will get to keep his primary residence. So what, for most people at home, I'm thinking they're sitting there, because I'm thinking the same thing. What other personal assets? Someone has a car. So what other kind of personal assets are we talking about that can get to this $1 billion mark that these families are owed?
You know, it varies. I mean, in the bankruptcy court, it can be some personal belongings, limits. In a lot of the state courts, where they try to enforce the judgment, like they're going to try to do in Texas and in Connecticut, you know, things like one automobile is exempt, a primary residence, a trade, tools, equipment, things like that are often exempt. Home furnishings are often exempt. The idea is to allow collection, but not put the debtor on the street. So if you were to say, hey, you know, you can have everything. Now Alex Jones is on the street with no house, no car, nothing. And they're not going to make him a warden of the state. So they're going to allow some exempt property that they think is fair and necessary to live and move forward, while allowing the rest of it to be sold.
Showing compassion to someone who many would say did not show the same to these families. Attorney Tre Lovell, thanks so much for your insight. Appreciate it.